Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live. Arsenal have dropped points. Stop the press. The Premier League season is fully open. The title race is back on, as if it was off after 12 games anyway. With some of the reactions you would have heard just after Arsenal failed to beat a 10-man Chelsea team. A very, very good Chelsea team, I might add. And a Chelsea team which I'm surprised their fans are trying to claim that they're not ready for a title race. We'll be talking about that today. We're discussing the game in a bit more detail. Liverpool finally get a win. They end their rut. But are they over the hill? Have they turned a corner? I think a couple of more games we need to see before we could make that decision. And Ruben Amorim back to winning ways with Manchester United after a big 2-1 victory against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. I'm joined by Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you? Good evening, everybody.
I'm good. New phone, new passwords. Couldn't sign into StreamYard. It was a bit of a nightmare before, but we got there in the end. We're here now, and we've got people watching. So apologies for the latest, people. Thank you for joining us now. Make sure you press that like button. Make sure you press that retweet if you're watching on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like and smash that share button. It all makes a big difference. And we're going to get the show started. Obviously, a big game yesterday, London Derby, Steve, and this one felt a bit more. I'm gonna say a bit more. This one felt more like a derby. And when the game started, it actually came flooding back a bit more. This is more of a derby than the North London Derby. Although the North London Derby is steeped in history and it is the local derby to Arsenal, these games are always ferocious. These games are always players trying to kick lumps out of each other. They've been closer in the league over the last 15, 20 years. And it just came flooding back. And look, for the neutrals, I'm sure it must have been a good game. I thought it was a pretty good game myself. Arsenal weren't at their best, but there was plenty of kicking, there was plenty of fouling. It was what you expect in a proper derby. Yellow cards, 4 yellow cards in the first 20 minutes. I think the quickest yellow card we saw in Arsenal's history in the last 30 years, or something ridiculous like that. But Arsenal didn't get the result they expected. What was your take on the game, Steve?
Well, yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, but I think the first time someone asked me after the game, what did I think of it? I think the very first word I used was that was horrible, and I don't know. I think it was like I'm not used to seeing exactly what you just said. 2 minutes ago, it was like an old-fashioned derby where it just, when the game finished, I felt like, I thought it was an horrible game, but it wasn't to say that there wasn't parts of it where there was good quality and things to admire. I think what you had to be a real connoisseur of the game to appreciate the good and the bad and what was going on in that. For me, look, I mean, Arsenal weren't at their best. That's for sure. No. That was the plain to see. Whether that was because of the games that we've had recently, that we had Tottenham last week, and then we went Bayern and now Chelsea. That's 3 full-blooded games where, not to say you haven't got to be on it every single game, of course you have, but those 3 games in a matter of 7 days is pretty tough for anybody, and it felt like that a bit. But for me it was an horrible game. Look, I don't like. I always try and give teams credit no matter who they are. Look, I don't like Chelsea. I just don't like them.
No,
but I will try and take my that away from it, and say that I did like during the game think, I have to praise them a little bit. you know, because they did come at us, they did take the game to us, and they caused us problems at times. So I admire them for that. But as with there's probably stuff we'll get to, there was certainly stuff in there that I thought was an absolute disgrace.
What, Cucurella? Potentially?
Not so much. Yeah, not so much Cucurella. Not so much Cucurella. He is what. Yeah, the play acting was ridiculous.
Because I was quite confused. Sorry, I was quite confused when Caicedo nearly broke Moreno's ankle and then went down himself for about 5 minutes. And I was, as soon as I watched it, I was thinking, what's Caicedo done here? Because that looks like a nasty foul. And I straight away I said yellow. And then I saw the replay again, and I was like, that's a red. And I said, I need to see that again. I need to see that again. And it showed it in slow motion, and it was clear red. So it was clear it was going off. So, but there was nothing in from his side where he should have felt any injury. He went flying into Moreno's ankle and then tried to claim he was injured.
No, he knew what he did. As I say, when it slows down, it does look a whole lot worse. But yeah, I mean, look, he was late, but it was dangerous, and you know that could have put him out for the season. That and he deserved to go. But look, I mean, one of the players who was winding me up, who I've actually admired footballing wise, you know, over the last years, Enzo Fernandez. You know, he was, you know, just out there just to kick and thingy, and I think that's the only way they could get something out of us, to be honest with you. In the end, I think they had to play the way that, and I suppose I have to give him some kind of like, you know, some kind of like, you know, to say well done, you know, for doing that, because Arsenal have done that in the past, the team. But I don't think we've ever been that nasty. And there were certainly many things in that game that Chelsea was doing nasty, and the play acting and the rolling around. It wasn't good to see. But I do have to say that they did give us a game. Do you know what I mean? I think because they will probably be the only team that comes to mind, or you know, that's probably similar to like who's really give us a go this season, because Liverpool certainly didn't.
Yeah, I said that during the match. I said, this is a team that's going for it. This is a team. When I said on, I was doing a live, and I said, when you talk about being the home team and the team that has to go for the match, that's what I'm talking about. That's what Chelsea done. Liverpool didn't. Yeah. So when Liverpool try and turn around to Arsenal fans and say, we parked the bus and Liverpool tried to play, no, I'm sorry, you're not fooling anyone. You are not fooling anyone.
What I will say, mate, is that I haven't got nothing against Liverpool playing the way they do, or teams playing the way they do, to stop us in any way they can. You know, that's if you feel that's going to win you a game, fine. But don't come out after the games, and you know that goes up for. Don't call us out on it. When we do it, you know, because I've seen Liverpool fans come out. Not all Liverpool fans, because as you know, me and you know, and I speak to many of them who will talk like us, and they'll see things how we see it. But there's a massive percentage out there who, you know, look, if you're going to do something, don't moan at it. But going back to the Chelsea game, I give them there. It was similar to Manchester United. They give it a go. That first game in the season, they come at us. They went out there and they wanted to play against us.
Yeah,
you know, and I have to rate, as much as I do not want to give any Chelsea any praise whatsoever, I have to a little bit.
Yeah,
because they see we was off it, and whether they went a little bit over the top, which I feel that they did, they got their point. But look, I think at the end of the day, I'm happy with a point. You know, at the end of the day, a draw away to Chelsea.
After the way we played, or would you have been of that mindset before the game as well?
I wouldn't have taken the draw before the game. No way. Would I have said, you know, take that now? Do you want to draw? No. John would have said to me before the game, if it pans out and you end up coming away with a draw, would you have been happy? I would have gone, yeah. You know, that type of attitude. But Yeah, but yeah, you could see on the players' faces, mate, at the end of the game. Chelsea fans and Chelsea players would like they just won the World Club Championship again, if that actually means anything. And Arsenal players were walking around with a right arse, and the fans weren't happy at all because basically it's Chelsea and we're better than them, and on our day we should be putting them away. But it's football. I think it's what happens, but we'll take a point in the end.
Let's focus a little bit on Chelsea. Reece James sitting in midfield yesterday, man of the match performance.
Yeah,
what a game he had! Powerful, aggressive, great range of passing. He's been back fit for what, a year now, no injuries.
Yeah,
Maresca's managed to manage his football a bit more, which has led to him having a bit more prolonged period on the pitch, a bit more rotation. Something that Chelsea fans should take heed in and take note in terms of being in preparation for potentially a title challenge. But what a performance he had yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I like Reece James. He was standout man of the match. There wasn't anybody on that pitch who really come close, really. So yeah, he's good, and I'm pleased for him because I don't like many Chelsea players, if any at all. But Reece James is someone that I like, and I've always liked his attitude. I like the way as you already mentioned there, he's had plenty of injuries in his career. I mean, and when we say plenty, I mean plenty. This guy, like, is hardly, I mean, we've hardly seen him, haven't we? The last 3 years. Do you know what I mean? He's played like a handful of games. But to be fair to him, he's kept his head down. He kept going, and I'm really pleased for him. And he's reaping the rewards, and hopefully he don't get injured again. And he's shooing, isn't he, for that right back position in the World Cup.
And look, he showed his versatility yesterday, playing in midfield. I didn't even know I couldn't work out where he was actually playing himself, because obviously Gusto was playing at right back, and James was in a midfield position, but obviously was it a double pivot with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez in front, and he looked very, very good. He's so strong.
Built, isn't he? Well built.
Chelsea fans will deny they're in a title race or have the quality for a title race, but if anything, yesterday, because what I see a lot of is Chelsea fans talking about they're young, they've got they have too many injuries at the back. But what yesterday showed me is if you're saying that you're more worried about the games that come up against a Burnley as opposed to a Liverpool and Arsenal, that's not an ability issue. That's a mentality issue. And your players are struggling to get motivated for games against Burnley because they feel like they're better than them and they can just win at a canter. But for games against Arsenal and Liverpool, they're getting pumped up and ready for it, and they can perform on the day. And they had players like Badiashile in there. They had Trevor Chalobah, players that I've heard many a time Chelsea fans say are not good enough. Talk of Fofana is good enough, but the others aren't. I just can't watch Chelsea play to that level that they did against Arsenal and then go on and claim that they're not good enough to at least challenge. I'm not saying win, but challenge. And when I say challenge, I mean, if you're going to, on a Monday morning, give everyone the side eye and suggest that watch your back, but when they ask if you're in this title race, you say no, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. And when I see a performance like that from Chelsea, that for me would give me enough confidence to say this team is ready to challenge for the title, not necessarily win. We don't have to pin the flags to the mast and say you're going to win this Premier League. Like, for me, it don't work like that. You say you compete. You are in there now after Christmas. You're competing. That's something that you should be proud of as a football team. You should be proud that your team is competing at the top with the best. I don't understand why people are trying to shy away from it. Especially when Chelsea are putting performances like that, Steve. What's your thoughts on that?
I think, yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing taken away from them. You know, that was a good performance yesterday. You know, they really stepped up their players, and yeah, you know, I was really impressed, and so I had to give them some credit. You know, even though I didn't want to. But personally, me, I don't think they're strong enough to really push like an Arsenal or a Man City. You know, it could be a one-off season, and they might surprise. But yeah, I mean, they was up for it yesterday, but they got spanked by Brighton 3-1 at home. They got
But
spanked
why
by
is that? Why did they lose?
They got spanked by Sunderland at home.
Yeah, why did they lose?
You know, they got ripped. They nearly lost to Karabakh. You know, at home. You know, they let 3 goals in against Wolves. And when I look at their team,
why are they getting up and ready for a Liverpool and beating the Liverpool? Narrowly missing out against the Man United, drawing against Arsenal with 10 men. How are they getting motivated for that? How are their players at the level for that? I saw Augusto roaming around that pitch. I saw Reece James bossing that midfield. Now, their strike force for me is overrated. Like Pedro's okay. Liam Delap, I don't know what he actually like. He's got time on his hands. That's what I'm going to say. Esteval, there's a lot of hype around him. I think Chelsea fans need to calm down, especially when there's talk of he's better than Saka or will be better than Saka. I watched a player yesterday who's very, very raw, who looks like he's got nice touch, nice couple of little skills in his locker, lovely little dribble, but decision making is 70% of any player. And if he can't make the right decisions, he's not going to be anywhere. Like,
but we've seen Nwaneri do the same as what Esteval's done last year. He's not done no different. He'll come on, he might do a curler in the top corner. He might go on have an handful of games, 10, 15 games for Chelsea. He might perform brilliantly. But Nwaneri did that last season. But was he ready? No, he's not. And it's the same with these players like Esteval. Chelsea fans, you know, they're bringing him up as if he's like the next world's best 18-year-old and putting him on the Miles level and things like that.
I saw that the other day.
Near it. He's nowhere near it.
I saw someone say it's not Saka and Yamal, it's Esteval and Yamal. And I'm like, come on, like Yamal has earned his stripes for God's sake. And you're putting him up against a player who's played 10 Premier League games? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of times yesterday, he didn't play well yesterday. No. I mean, a couple of the shots he made. I mean, you know, I thought he was on a rugby pitch, you know, trying to get 3 points over the between the stanchions or something.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's panic, rush. Kids like at that age, kids, you know as well as I do, they'll in certain games they'll show no fear.
Yeah.
You know, they could go up against a Van Dijk or a Gabriel and Saliba, stick it through their legs, go round and shimmy them top corner.
Yeah.
Right?
It's consistent.
That'll be the only time they'll do it. They won't do it again. But that's what they do that age. But for fans, we know fans these days, you know, they get carried away. You know, they're the worlds, they're great, they're brilliant. You know, the 18-year-old's better than Saka, they're better than Salah. They get the stat boards out. Look what Esteval's done in the last 10 games. Look what Saka's done.
Yeah.
All this shit. Excuse my French. But but going back to Chelsea, I just don't think you read out names there, Chalobah, Badiashile. You know, the goalkeeper was decent yesterday, but he's got a ricket in him. They say they got a good squad, but they're very, very young. They're very young, and their strike force is for me is nowhere near, you know, a title challenging strike force. And they might prove me wrong, but you know, if they're there around about December, and they're blowing teams away, and they're still their second, third, you know, 5, 6 points, then you're like, well, okay, let's just keep, you know, let's have a look at this Chelsea team. They might be serious, but personally for me, looking at them this season, there's too many times where they'll do a performance like this, like you said, mentality, and then the next week they'll go away to Burnley and just about beat them or something. Do you know what I mean? This is, and they've got Leeds on Wednesday night away. It wouldn't surprise me if they turned them over. That's the type of that's to Chelsea for me. And they got
I like it to our 2022-23 squad, where I don't think we were ready then. That was a team that went from 5th, was looking to get top 4, and then stumbled into a title race. Now, I'm not even saying that Chelsea will be to that level in terms of to be there, a month before the end of the season. But I'm saying this Chelsea team can cause a few upsets, be that team that causes a little bit of trouble within that top 4 race and that title race, and might take a couple of points off of those teams going for the title. But I still think this team, this Chelsea team, will be in and about it around about February. They may tail off there, but for me, that's a stepping stone to a team that, okay, maybe next season wants to get a couple of serious signings in. This team could be a serious team. Like the old Chelsea of old, the Chelsea of old wouldn't have got a Liam Delap. The Chelsea of old would have bought a Victor Osimhen, and the Chelsea of old wouldn't have worried about Trevor Chalobah because they would have bought in, I don't know, just throwing a name out there, Jonathan Tah before he went to Bayern Munich. They would have just got those players in. They wouldn't have minded the wages they're on, the ages they're on, and they'd be ready now. And I think Chelsea ain't far off of that. They need a few players in a couple of places, but I think this is the season where they can see where they are. Like, they can push as hard as they can, and they'll be able to see by the end of in and around February, March, whereabouts they are in terms of what they really need next season, what they're missing, what their shortcomings are. Yeah. But I see that performance yesterday, and I see that as a team that's progressing very well in terms of where they were a few years ago.
I mean, they ought to, mate, shouldn't they? The amount of money they're spending.
A lot of money.
About £7 billion, isn't it?
And the talk of Maresca.
It will be like 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, and this talk of Maresca in his first season done this and done it. It would be impressive if he'd done that with the Chelsea team that Potter took over. But this is the 5th iteration of Chelsea after a Lampard, after he's brought in their players, after a Tuchel, after a Potter, after a Pochettino, and then Maresca. So all those managers beforehand did all the dirty work that Mikel Arteta had to do, all the dirty work that Ruben Amorim's having to do now, and he's popped in at the end, and he's got a few of the players that he wants, and then he's been able to coach that team in there. So I don't buy into this. Oh, Maresca's first season, he done this.
But even their kids, don't you think they're not, when they bought a player or they bring someone in, you're not like, whoa, that's a signing.
No.
Even now, you know, you would have thought after spending God knows how many £1 billion over so many years, that you'd think they'd be at a level now where they'd be picking up a Zubimendi or an Eze, or they should be there, but they're not. They're not there.
Their most impressive players are the ones that, like, we know about. The most impressive players aren't these little like, oh, who's this little gem they're bringing in? It's not that. It's the Caicedos, it's the Enzo Fernandez, it's the James, it's the Gustos, it's the they're already there. We know about them. These little Gittins and the Estevals, they're not the ones I'm impressed with. The João Pedro, I didn't understand why Chelsea bought João Pedro in the summer, and then they hyped him up after the club championship. He's okay. He's a squad player for me. He's not. He's not the main man up top. Look, in his final season at Brighton, Danny Welbeck was taking his spot, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
And to be fair, if I'm too short, I'm contemplating taking Danny Welbeck to the World Cup. So this is no hate about Thomas. This is no hate about Danny Welbeck.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
João Pedro, yeah. And then you got Liam Delap. He's all right. He's all
Neto,
right.
like, but they're picking up. They're all decent players. They're okay players. They're not bad players. And Neto seems to be improving probably out of all of them. Pedro's gone a bit quiet. Neto's picked up a bit, but they're just all right. They come from Wolves. They come from Ipswich. They come from Brighton. They're these players. They come like Garnacho, Man United. Emery didn't even want him near the club. So Chelsea went and got him. When they bought Madrid, do you know what I mean? They were like, I didn't even know who Madrid was. I will have him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. I mean, if I were the Chelsea fans, I'd be hoping they'd have some kind of continuity now. Like they're trying to get something sort of solid going on there. Do you know what I mean? But it still seems to be. When I talk about Chelsea and I want to praise them, if I have to, I look at them and I think, who do I want to praise? I think obviously Cole Palmer. Do you know what I mean? He's special. And then I look at Cucurella, for instance. Yeah, again, he's nasty, but he's a good player, Cucurella.
Apparently, he's a good player.
Well, he definitely did in the weekend, but he's not. He's a good little footballer. He can be a nasty little git, right? But he's a decent player. He's Spain's left back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can't be bad if you're Spain's left back. Yeah, and also Reece James, right?
Yeah.
These are the players that we know about. These are the top players they've got. These are like could walk in many sides. Their team now and that team that played yesterday. There's a lot of them that wouldn't even start in a Liverpool or a Man City or an Arsenal. They wouldn't. So, yeah, I mean they got a decent midfield. They got Casado and Enzo, and they're good players, but they won't. Their attitude to football, they won't better themselves with playing the way they did like that.
Yeah,
playing like children in the end.
If they played the way they did against Arsenal, I do wonder how many games they will continue to have 10 men, potentially even 9.
Yeah, we'll see them at the Emirates. Just see what happens then.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens then when we're at the Emirates.
Yeah. Look, do you know what? Yeah, but that's what I want. When we talk about a derby, the fact that we're sitting around now, mate. I've had plenty of messages, from people saying I was ready to cook you today, but then they said, "Fair play, you got out there with a point. I'll see you in February." That's what you want. That little bit of friendly rivalry. You want that. You want a game like when it was Man United Arsenal. They were horrible games, but when you won it, it was you. I felt out of breath after winning those games because it was tense. It was like rough, aggressive. That everything meant something. That powder puff game you played the other day against Tottenham, that's a derby. I don't even. Did they even get a yellow card? Was there even many fouls? And that's what Roy Keane talks about when he's like, it's a derby. It's a derby. Come on. That's what you want. You want, you don't want people running in and people like Caicedo nearly breaking people's ankles. But you want a bit of rough and tumble.
He was just as bad. Enzo Fernandez. Some of the tackles he was doing, off the ball challenges, elbows off the ball. Did you see that one on Izzy? Did you see the one on Izzy?
No, but I saw the one where he threw himself to the floor, claiming that he had a head injury, and I was getting really annoyed because the referee was falling for every single one. And I was like, "There's no head injury," and then all of a sudden he goes, "His mouth. Get out of it! Get out of it!" This is where VAR should be going. Ref, continue. No head injury there. Play on. He's gone to the floor. He's feigning injury. To take note of that. Either give him a warning or that'd be a yellow card because we've not seen anything that indicates there was a foul there. Get a bit more advanced with your video analysis referees there because it could have been used yesterday quite a few times where there was a lot of play acting. There's a lot of play acting yesterday, and I even felt in the end that our players started doing it in the end, which we don't want.
You didn't hear a lot about it, and you didn't hear a lot about it, did you?
Nothing.
Again, I don't want to use the Arsenal thing again, but I've seen it a lot. on various platforms. And it's true. If Arsenal do it, it's out of order. But if anyone else does it, no one says a word.
Mm.
And it is true. It is true.
It's true.
You know, in my line of work as well. So I'm pretty close up to what people write and stuff. It's true. It is. You know, it's but yeah, you know, anything to sort of like get a reaction, you know, I suppose. But yeah, it was an horrible game. I think that was a really good word. You know, the first word that came into my head was it was an horrible game, but there was lots of talking points. You know, there was tackles, bookings, sending offs, and that's what London Derby is all about. But I think Chelsea bigged them up for that game. They really bigged themselves up. You know, it was at home. They knew Gabriel and Saliba was out of it. You know, Kasiba got off his high horse and thought he was better than Declan Rice and got made to look like a mug. So, but he was up for it before the game. You know, he wanted to fight the world and kill someone before the kickoff. Enzo the same. So it had all the ingredients for a nasty, horrible football match. And it started panning out that way when you had like 4 bookings in about 20 minutes. You know, 3 of them going nothing to Arsenal. But yeah, it was one I'm glad it's out of the way. You know, we can park it, and you know it'll be part 2. You know, at the Emirates, and yeah, we'll see what happens then. But just changing the subject of the game, if we should have won it in the end, in the last minute. Oh,
yeah, communication there, communication.
Yeah, but that was a goal, wasn't it? Timber hadn't taken it off Gorica's head. That was, I don't know. We don't know if he called for it, if he didn't, if he don't. I don't know. Who knows? Only they know. But yeah, that was 2-1 all day long then, wasn't it?
Yeah. It'd been nice for Gyökeres
to come back. Never mind. But you see the reaction of the Arsenal players when they come off the pitch. They wasn't happy.
They weren't happy. They weren't happy,
and that's good.
It is good. And look, we people will be harsh on Arsenal whenever they drop points, but you've got to look at the reactions that they've had from those drop points. Arsenal last time, I think, lost to Liverpool. They went on and they beat Nottingham Forest 3-0, and they beat Atletico Bilbao in the Champions League 2-0. After that game, they had Manchester City. They drew 1-1. And that's after that game, they went on a game run of 10 games without conceding a goal.
Mm-hmm.
They then drew to Sunderland, who went on to beat Tottenham, Bayern Munich, and then we drew at Chelsea away.
Yeah.
How do we react? That's the most important thing. How do Arsenal players react? And Mikel Arteta won't be coming out that happy. Players are not going to come out happy. And they know they've got to react. They know they've got to come back now. They've got a run of 6 to 8 games. All games we should be looking at to get 3 points in. Now, will we drop points in some of them games? One of them games? Maybe. That's just football. That's how football works. That's just football. But this is an opportunity to go on another one of those runs, another one of those 10-game runs. We're getting some players back. The timing's good. Ødegaard came on, and that was really encouraging. I thought he looked good when he came on. I've got a few concerns about Eza, but I've seen in the game against Tottenham that what I want to see more from him on a regular basis, he's got in his locker. So it's going to be difficult
to see. It's going to be interesting to see how they fit. I mean, I'm sure it's been on your mind as much as it has been in mine. You know, it's going to be really interesting to see how he's going to, you know, work Eza and Ødegaard, because they've both got abilities to cut defenses open and you know, with a killer pass and do special things. You know, we've seen Eza doing it against Tottenham. We see that goal he scored against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
We know what he's got in his locker.
We was lucky enough to see Ødegaard and Eza together at one point earlier on in the season, and it looked sharp. It looked really good. I think Ødegaard sat a little bit deeper, but Ødegaard this season, it feels like he's got a bit between his teeth. I think he really wants to show people that, because he got a lot of questions last season, and I think it was unfair. He didn't have the greatest of seasons, but I feel like it was obvious why he didn't. There was a lot of injuries. I feel like he came back early from his injury, and he didn't fully really recovered. And you saw he was getting better by the end of the season. This season, he looks like he's got the bit between his teeth, and he really wants to prove people wrong. He's got a bit of competition there, and he wants to again. It could want to show people what he's about as well, and make sure people haven't forgotten the standard that he set. Because I think that people took him for granted. Because I think when you watch how Eze plays against how Ødegaard plays, I think we're pining for a little bit of that Ødegaard in Eze, which is a bit of give me the ball and I'm going to run with it. I'm going to show you what I've got. And I want to see more of that from Eze. And I know he's got it. We saw against Tottenham, for me, I saw two different Ezes. Eze in the first 15 minutes.
Deep player, is he?
Eze in the first 15 minutes, which was gets the ball, plays it nicely, he's in and about it, dropped a lovely little ball to Declan Rice, nearly got an assist, would have been lovely. And then I saw an Eze after he scored his goal, and he was a different player. He was a completely different animal. He was gliding around the pitch. He wanted the ball more. He was showing for it. He owned that game once he scored that goal. And that, I don't know whether it was the confidence that he got from scoring that, which he took it on, but that is what I want to see more of Eze.
Yeah. For me, they're different, him and Ødegaard, which I think, it's a lot of people saying, either or, one or the other. But for me, Ødegaard's someone who's a little bit more get around the pitch, a little bit more box to box. Do you know what I mean? He drops into the 8. Eze's not that. He does all his good work, out to the left a little bit and right into with the centre, in the number 10 position. That's Eze. He doesn't drop in the 8. I don't think that's him. But it's early days, and whether that'll, I didn't obviously see him all the time what he did at Palace, and what positions he played in. But since he's been at Arsenal, he's been that out to the left in the 10 type of thing. Where Ødegaard's different, he's more of a drops into the 8, right, go forward. But if you're asking Eze to drop into the 8, I don't know, it don't really work. But well, not that it don't work. I mean, it's a quality player, but yeah, it wouldn't work as much as if it was with Ødegaard. So it's going to be really interesting. I suppose Arteta would be tempted to put Eze out on the left, but then you've got the thing of like Trossard as well, who hasn't put foot wrong all season. So yeah, but it's good headaches to have, mate. At the end of the day, it's good headaches to have. So I'd rather have them than not.
Yeah, I agree. One thing before we go, what is it with these? What I thought was respectable outlets. It seems like they're purposely posting Saka's last assist in the Premier League was November, but he got injured with an ACL injury or a hamstring injury, whatever it is, where he had to have surgery, so he missed 3/4 of the season. Like, are people that desperate for engagement that they know what they're doing when they post that? They know what they're doing. And then you've got what we call respectable journalists saying things like, that's not world-class quality. I know he had injuries. If you know he had injuries, why are you talking? His first game back was the second leg against PSG, where he was able to play about 50 minutes. Like,
wasn't it Fulham? Wasn't it Fulham kids? Fulham? Had he come on and scored?
As
his first touch.
Yeah, so he's scoring goals, but that's not enough.
He scored with his first touch after being out for like 100 and something days.
Yeah, and he also scored against PSG because he's scoring goals, but apparently that's not enough. Scored 3 Premier League goals this season in all competitions. Saka scored how many goals he scored this season in Champions League? He scored in the League Cup. He scored 2 in the Champions League, and he's got an assist. And again, they're purposely missing out these assists in the other competitions. I just find it a bit odd.
Yeah, it's very odd, mate. I don't know why they do it. I don't know if they know they're doing it. I mean, is there some like young whippersnapper, by a computer who's seen it and thought, oh, I'll put this out, and hasn't bothered looking into it, and thought, oh, I'll put this out. This will get something.
Yeah, no, but it is. It is like because someone underneath the post asked that Grok, how long did Eden Hazard have a Premier League goal drought for? And it was 29 games, near enough a year for Chelsea. And Saka's was actually Saka's biggest goal drought. Someone asked about the goal drought. It's only 8 games, but yeah, it's just a bit silly. People farming engagement. It's getting a bit boring now.
It's too much of it. It's too much of it.
Too much.
It's and you're getting the mainstreamers, mainstream outlets, doing it as well. Sky Sports, BBC.
Yeah.
Sky Sports have got an actual program on it now where they just continue. It's just a clickbait, show version. Do you know what I mean? Where they just stick up across their ticker thing across the thing with something absolutely nonsense. I sit at my desk working, and I sit and I have Sky on, and I see these things come up, and just shake my head and try and take no notice of it, and think, why do they do this? Why is it? And again, we spoke about it the other week. This is all contributing to just killing the game. It's killing it. It's killing it, and it's gonna get worse, mate. I can't see it getting any better because the video world will get bigger, the social media will get bigger, and I'd love to be able to. I just hope more of these things, where people are doing shows about killing the game. I hope we just get more and more and more and more of them.
Because, and they don't do the opposite thing and jump on the bandwagon. Shout out to Terry Fleurs, the Football Terrace, because for a big account, he's one that he's got his own, got a specialist show on it called Killing the Game. Which it needs to be done because he's got a big enough platform for journalists to hear it. Those people will hear it. And it is boring. It ruins the game. It ruins the fans' experience. Everything is look. We can understand rival fans doing it and childish rival fans who feel the need to get one over on people for everything. Like they'll soon grow out of it. But when you have the mainstream media do it, it validates the stupid banter that they have, and then it's just a continuous cycle. If they keep getting validated, they're going to do it more, which means it's going to get more hype online, which means the trend that's followed by the mainstream media is the hype that's online, and it's just a vicious cycle, and it's ruining it.
It's good. Like it's good when people yourself, you're doing your TikTok, you're growing, and you're putting across to people, how it should be. But there's not enough like you. There's not enough like Terry Fleurs out there doing it. I have used to. I can't really name. There might be a couple of others, out there, one or two that can know what we're talking about. But at the moment, we're getting swamped with, just clickbait. And what the danger is it is feeding through to the younger fans, the upcoming fans. The future, and they will see football this way, and then it will get bigger and bigger, and then before you know it, and before we're all gone and everything, football will be just that. That's all it will be.
Well, we had years of people growing up on the way that AFTV farmed out their media. The way that the way that a lot of the people on that channel would over exaggerate how they actually felt, and now you've got a younger generation of fans that articulate the way they're unhappy or they're happy with things by the way similar to what that is. When we lose, it's the end of the world. You're rubbish. you need to get sacked. When you win, we're the best thing since sliced bread. It's like there's no middle ground. There's no balance.
No.
So
And the thing
now
is, he got a big award, Robbie Lyle, for something. You know, I can't remember what it was. I'm sure people want to go and have a look online. But he got a really big award, you know, that big people get, you know, for their contribution to football, and he got it. And I'm like, you're one of the ones who started the reason why it's being ruined, mate. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't be like getting no big awards like with. I think it was like with David Beckham got it, Sir Alex Ferguson got it. They've got the award, and he got it. And I'm like, you're the reason why we're in this shit. Do you know what I mean? You're the one that started all this.
I think there's two things there. The fan media side of things, you got to give him credit for in terms of he started a platform which it's given the fans a voice. But from that platform, people have turned into caricatures.
Yeah.
And I'm not having it where people are trying to say that they did not benefit from Arsenal's downfall and did not play into that.
Yeah.
That was for sure. So the two can coexist. I would say. But yeah, look, we've
but he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's. I mean, look, I haven't watched AFTV for well over a year now. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't even have a clue what goes on. I don't watch these things anymore, you know, because it's just in the end, it was just better for my health that I never.
Yeah.
So I don't know what goes on now, but you know, these people on there were just, you know, you're getting kids now who think they're experts. You're getting kids or younger fans in their 20s. Now, whether it's from the age of 10 and 12 when you first really start going, and then you start getting into your 20s, your middle 20s. You know, you talk to people, and they talk like they're experts of the game.
Yeah.
And people like us know nothing, but those people on programs like, I don't know, there's one called I used to watch it again. I haven't watched it for over a year now because I just got fed up and annoyed with it in the end. The Big Six, you know, there was something that with Turkish and other people. It was all absolute shit. Do you know what I mean? But people like, you've got millions of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who laud these people. I saw if they bought out T-shirts, they walk around with their face on the front. And that's where it's going. And that's where it's going. We used to go football, kids. I used to go and watch Arsenal. I go to Ivory, or whether it was the Emirates. You used to go there. You watch the game. You talk to the people there. You talk to people in your circle. You analyse the game. You used your eyes. You come away and you had your opinion. You went to the pub after, and then you had a little chat about it. Then you went on to the next week. You watched Match of the Day. You had experts on there. You listened to them. Bish bash bosh. Sometimes you got a decision. Sometimes you never. You went away. You went home. You went to work the next day. If you lost, you got slaughtered, and then that's you went on to the next week, and it was all a laugh, and that was it. Now it just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. God forbid you got an international break, and it don't even matter if you win or lose anymore. There's going to be players are getting sold, all sorts. Yeah. Look, I agree. I've done a couple of videos on it before. Like, I can't deal with the ones who, like, obviously these young kids have done well to build their profile. They've got a platform. They go on to shows, and they get the ultimate question, which is always the one will be based around Patrick Vieira, Steven Gerrard, like those sorts of players from the Invincible area and some of Liverpool's greatest players. And they're answering questions. I'm like, mate, you must be about 23. Therefore, you would have been about 6 when Steven Gerrard was moving from Liverpool to LA Galaxy. What do you know about Steven Gerrard and Patrick Vieira? You ain't sitting there watching full matches from the 90s and 2000s. Mm-hmm. So why are you talking about Patrick Vieira and Steven Gerrard like you know what they're like? I can't deal with that. It actually is a proper bugbear of mine.
I think what it is, I don't think they know
they didn't watch.
Exactly what I was going to say. They don't. They totally. They'll talk about them, but they'll dismiss them very quickly.
Completely dismiss him.
Completely dismiss them. And because I mean, with our own club, you know, you have a conversation, and you think you're having an intelligent conversation, and then someone tell you that, yeah, but Declan Rice, yeah, he was better than Patrick Vieira, weren't he? And you're like, what? Or you'll see on Sky Sports, like, you'll see a couple of these podcast pundits, right, that they seem to love to bring on now, and they'll be putting, yeah, Sanchez instead of Perez and that. And you're like, what? You know, and it's all and it's like this. Who's Lauren? I said to someone the other day, there was this geezer. I think he's got about like 6. I can't. His name will come to me in a minute. He's got a ridiculous amount of followers. Arsenal geezer. You'll know him.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't even know who Lauren was.
Mate, the latest one, Steve.
It's like, what?
Dennis Bergkamp's overrated. Yeah, that's the latest one. Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp is overrated. Oh my God. All you Arsenal fans always overrate Dennis Bergkamp. I'm like, because it was Jamie O'Hara said, Arsenal's best front three is not better than Bale, Son, and Kane. I said, mate, I'll give you a front three that play together without having to pick and choose from the eras. Yeah. Henry, Perez, and Bergkamp. Better than that front three. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, the only player that you could potentially question that could go is potentially Bale in his 2 peak years, but you don't. But Perez was so good, yeah. And then everyone's going, mate, Bergkamp wasn't even a striker; he was a 10. And I said, kid, back in the day, a 10 was a second striker. So you had 2 up top, you had your main striker, and you had your second striker. Your second striker would usually drop it a little bit and link up the midfield, but he was still a striker. He was a playmaker. Mate, a 10 is just a number. It's not a position. Yeah, we've made that into a position. A 10, 9, 10, striker 1, striker 2. Yeah. And they're trying to argue me. He was overrated. He's always overrated by you ask, mate, you don't know. You don't know your bold, mate.
It's dangerous, mate. It's scary. It's really, really scary. You know, because it's like 80% of people like that. This is the way the game's going. And yeah, there don't seem to be any way of stopping it. I haven't got an answer to stop it. All we can do is just keep trying to call it out.
Call it out. That's all you can do, Steve. Call it out. Because eventually what happens is those people bubble up to the surface. They can't really take it for too long, you saying this and that about their opinions without them jumping in and saying something. So, and that's what I'm there for. I'll be that beating stick. If you feel like you can take me on after I've called you out, then go for it. Because I'll come with receipts, mate. So I always come with receipts. I always make sure I know what I'm talking about before I put it out on camera. I don't just spout something on a whim. I'm too long in the tooth to know that, mate. Trust me. I don't want to be looking like an idiot. And sometimes you do just get a bit overzealous and you say something, you think, oh, was that right? Was that correct? But again, I'm not that stubborn. My ego's not that big to admit when I'm wrong either. And that's a problem that a lot of you lot have. You don't want to admit you're wrong. You'd rather move the conversation somewhere else or angle your argument at something, one little thing that I might have said, which you think you can pounce on. I know how you lot work, so I'm prepared.
I've been going. I've popped on a few of the TikTok lives when there's been a football conversation, and I've just sort of listened. And yeah, I mean, a couple I'll do a comment, and 9 times out of 10, I'm by the time I've sort of left a couple, 2 or 3 comments, they like, and I say, right, maybe I've got to go there. They're like, oh yeah, top man, he knows what he's talking about and all that. But that weren't how you was at the start of it. You was talking shit at the start. So before I said to you, mate, I think one of my things I said to you was that there's no point calling out it because it's just never going. They're just so stupid and then. But nah, you're right. We should call it out because it's getting scary now. And I want my grandkids who love football. Do you know what I mean? I want them to grow up you know, and appreciating players, appreciating teams, and you know, having a an opinion that makes sense, and not ending up like one of these stupid idiots on these podcasts or some of these TikTok ones, mate.
Go take them to Leighton Orient. Keep them grounded. Take them to a Leighton Orient game. They soon appreciate Arsenal then. Trust me.
But again, that's another thing, isn't it? It's not so bad in the lower leagues. You know, it's a different cattle official could ever.
Oh, they moan, but it's like what it used to be. It's they moan after the game amongst themselves, have a beer, move on to the next. It's not a whole drama. It's not like that. And and it's not like Arsenal have dropped points in 3 games this season, 2 draws, 1 loss. Every single time that's happened, the same question comes out, the same thing. Oh, if Mikel Arteta doesn't win a trophy this year, he gets a sack. Oh, do you think Mikel Arteta should get the sack if he doesn't? Mate, we just drew a game. Chill out. We went 10 games without conceding a goal and won 10 games. And the first thing you can say when we get a draw is, oh, if he doesn't win something this season, he gets a sack. Like, this is what I mean. You're not built for a title challenge. You're not built for a title race. So what you should do is either stay away from me, keep following, or hibernate. I
don't think people think this. I don't think people analyse this thing. I mean, there's plenty of people out there. So if he don't win a title, you know, then he's getting sacked. Firstly, I talk to people. He ain't going nowhere. If he don't, and I don't think people got to think what he's done. Not so much what he's done. If people want to take away what he's done, they go, "Oh yeah, what he's done. We want this now," right? But you just can't take away a manager who's built a team and brought all these players in, and then at the end of the season, if you don't win, attack him. What if you get someone else in and you end up and all these players who have worshipped, who and I'm telling you, they absolutely worship Arteta.
They want to win it with Mikel.
They worship for him. They love that guy.
That I want him to win it. I don't want another manager to come in like Slot and go, yeah, go on. I'll do that. Yeah. I don't want that. No. I want Arteta to do it. I want this man to do it because I want him to stay a manager for years to come. I absolutely adore Mikel Arteta, mate. I'm not scared to say it.
Yeah,
I'm not scared to say it.
I don't get the hate, kid. I don't get the hate.
What he's done.
I don't get what they don't like about the guy. I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character. Do you know what I mean? So I take my Arsenal hat off and I look at Arteta and I think, what do you not like? What is not likable about him? He has a laugh and a joke in the press conference. He's what you'd want if any manager on the touchline. You want someone who's like passionate. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want.
Yeah.
He loses his rags sometimes, but you want that, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You don't want some placid geezer who just sits there and just don't do nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm with you, mate. I actually love Arteta. I don't see the hate. I don't know why people hate him. A lot of people do. I think it's jealousy. I don't see it. And then they say, well, why could you be jealous? You know, he's not won nothing, but he's done a lot. He's done a hell of a lot for that football club. And they say, oh, yeah, Slot won it. Slot won the title and all that. And that's another thing that I've said for a very long while, which proves my point, really. Slot won the title with Liverpool last year, right? Do not tell me that Slot's a better manager than Arteta.
Yeah,
and he won the bloody Premier League. So people will be telling me...
We'll get on to Liverpool in a second, just after...
People have been telling me that if you have to win the Premier League to be a better manager than whatever, absolute nonsense. Because I don't think there's anybody, even Liverpool fans, who will say...
We'll see how Slot does with this transition and rebuild. It'll be interesting. Thanks for your message there, DJ Shatter Hennessy. Drawing with 10-man, Chelsea a disgrace. I would say it's disappointing. I wouldn't use the term disgrace, but he's a Chelsea fan. I wouldn't say disgrace. I would say it's very disappointing. If we lost, maybe a disgrace. But look, it's a London derby. These games just have that little bit more. They left that little bit more of an edge. It was disappointing for Arsenal. I think that Arsenal didn't play well, and I don't think they utilised that extra man at all. There was moments in the game where there was a lot of changes happening, people moving from different positions. Did that need to happen? I don't know. Could they have kept on Eze for a little bit longer? Personally, I don't think so. I thought he was poor yesterday. If anything, I think there should be more of an argument for him bringing on Ethan Munyeri more than keeping on an Eberechi Eze. And I don't think players like Saka, who end up getting his assist, I don't think he played well either. So I think there was a lot of players on the pitch that didn't play well. Two new centre backs starting, which looked a bit shaky throughout. Although I thought that I like Hincapié and I like his aggression. I love that getting in Neto's face. I'm all about that. And Mosquera, he looks really good. Looks like a defender. But they look shaky.
Yeah. Man City couldn't beat Arsenal with 10 men. So how does that point stand up? But it's a different narrative, isn't it? Then different narrative than when it's someone else.
I'm a Chelsea fan, but Arteta deserves an EPL trophy now from where he was playing till now. Look, he's done a lot for Arsenal, and look, Arsenal only deserve it if they can get it over the line. If they can't get it over the line, they don't deserve it. But like, I know what you mean. It has been this has been a full season now where we're actually challenging for a title. Look, and you keep on knocking on the door, something's going to open, and hopefully it does. It does.
Again, we have to take. You do have to take. People don't look at circumstances every season. You do have to do that. You know, you say how many times we challenged? 3 times. Two out of them 3 times were up against Man City, who were the best team on the planet at the time, right? Arsenal was ready to win the league that year, but so were Man City, and they were more likely to win it, and they did. It doesn't mean that Arsenal couldn't win it those 2 years. They was ready to win it, in my opinion, right? It's just that Man City were that little bit better. It doesn't mean 2 teams that are capable of winning the title, but one only can. And in those 3 seasons, Manchester City won it twice because they're the best team on the planet. No one,
one of them seasons
above Man City. So again, more nonsense when people bring out that stat about that he hasn't won anything. So.
Well,
Man City, should we have won?
The season, one of the seasons that Man City won it, they won the treble.
Yeah,
and the other season, which I don't think Arsenal were ready for that season. The season that we get called the bottlers for,
No,
Arsenal went from a team that was 5th in the league to a team that was challenging. So, if Chelsea aren't regarded as a team that should be winning the league, then why are Arsenal considered as a team that should have won the league when they were in a position in a season where they were just trying to get into the top 4 and then happened to be in a title race and then fell off at the end because they've had to stick in Rob Holding. Again, this is hypocrisy.
It's all like you have to every when you win football, just please people out there. Just look at everything in context, break it down, look at circumstances, look at reasons why, and when people have a point like you do, kids, make sure you research it and people don't come back to you, make you look like a fool. I mean, with Chelsea, they had 10 men against Brighton. Do you know what I mean? And they got a man sent off and lost 3-1 at home. So,
there we go. One more. Look, mate. Injuries. Lose Bukayo Saka. You lose Bukayo Saka. You lose Havertz for a season. You lose Odegaard for a quarter of the season. Mate, Chelsea fans are saying that they're not good enough to win the league because Fofana might get injured.
Who?
Wesley Fofana.
Well,
so Chelsea fans are saying that they're not good enough to win the league because apparently one player in their team is not good enough or not on the same level as the rest of the Arsenal squad. But Arsenal, when they lose all their strikers, so no Jesus, no Havertz, they lose Saka on the right wing for 3/4 of the season. Hence that stat where he only had he hasn't had 1 assist in a year, and then I don't see how people expect Arsenal to really compete when they've got to stick Miko Moreno up front. So
no,
I see our injury list now. But we've got reinforcements. If Arsenal had the same injuries as last season, and no Saka, they wouldn't have Madueke to bring on. They wouldn't have Hincapié to replace Gabriel. They wouldn't have Mosquera to replace Saliba. They'd be banging trouble, like in serious trouble. So look, I see what you're saying, but look, I think it's easy to turn around and say to people, excuses. But if Liverpool lose Salah, if Liverpool lose Van Dijk and Alisson, are people questioning? Are people expecting Liverpool to win the league or even compete? If Man City lose a Haaland, if Man City lose a Diaz and a Foden, are they saying that Liverpool Man City lost Rodri and then
Rodri
people
and Haaland last season?
City won't be in it last season because they lost Rodri.
Why didn't Man City win it? Absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Man City didn't win it last season. Why? Well, they lost two players. They lost Haaland. They lost Rodri. It doesn't matter how many players you can lose. Two players out of a team. If they're your key players in certain positions, that will affect you winning the title.
Yeah.
We've watched titles now for as long as I can remember. It is a 100% fact. If you lose one or two main players, big players, for a long amount of time in the season, and Arsenal lost 5, they all went under surgery, you will suffer and you will not be able to create a challenge. But the problem is,
Ben White, no Saka, no Havertz.
People will not look into the facts. People will not look into the context. People will not look into the circumstances, and they will just do a one-line sentence, and you were totally wrong because of it. You need to look into context of things.
Yeah, I think people have taken, like, I understand everyone has injuries, but if you take any main player out of a team, it's very hard to replace him. Like, my worry now is of all the players that we lose now, if we lose Declan Rice, there's no direct replacement in the squad for him. Who replaces Declan Rice? Like, you can replace a Saka for a short period of time, but you're not going to have the quality. You can put players in there that can do a job. Who replaces a Declan Rice? That's my concern.
The thing is, do you know the biggest one I can think of, right, is that right now Man City are in the title race. Yeah, well, they're 5 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah.
They're in it, right? For me, they're in it more than Chelsea are. They're in it, right? The Man City, Pep Guardiola, Diaz, all these lot, Doku. Yeah, if they lose Haaland, one player, if they lose Haaland, finished.
And everyone will write them off.
So people think. Use your brains and think, about these circumstances and certain things that could happen during the season. Haaland, Man City, gone. That's them done. And they Man City fans know it.
I appreciate your questions, though. Can I just call you Hennessy? I'm going to call you Hennessy if that's all right. Press that subscribe button if you're not. If you're not subscribed, join us every Monday at 8 o'clock. Before we go, I want to chat a little bit about Liverpool. We will go a bit more in depth about Liverpool. I apologise. We've gone an hour-long rant about Arsenal and Chelsea. Liverpool finally got their first win in the Premier League in about 5 games. In beating West Ham 2-0. It seemed like Arne Slot went back to basics. We saw Joe Gomez brought back into the team. Vert started for Liverpool, who looked a little bit better.
Yeah,
I have to say, he looks a little bit better, but made a couple of early releases, playing his way in. So fair play to him there. Isaac got on the score sheet, which is good news for Liverpool fans as well.
Excellent goal.
Is this looking like it's moving in the right direction, Steve?
No, it's too early. Miles too early to say. Everything you said was true.
Yeah.
I thought, like, best I've seen Liverpool for a long while. Spoken to a few Liverpool fans since then. They're of the same thinking. They're like, no, we're not getting carried away over this. West Ham weren't great. They were poor. West Ham, you know, they're West Ham are what they are at the minute. One day a week they look decent, the other week they look like they're going to get relegated. And the weekend they were pretty much, you know, if you take all apart from really Bowen and probably Wilson looked okay, they were like they looked like a championship side, to be fair to them. They probably survived, but anyway, we're not talking about West Ham. Liverpool, yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't like, well, what a great performance.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's 3 points. And
they just needed the win, though. They needed the win and a clean sheet as well.
Yeah, and they needed that. And you've already said, Verts, I watched the game, and I say, it weren't a great game. I think I said to someone at half time, poor quality half that. You know, I think that was me words. You know, there wasn't really much going on. But, yeah, look, Isaac, great goal, great finish. Was unlucky not to another one. Very good save from Areola. So he looked good. He looks like he needs to put on a few stones. Isaac, God, Jesus Christ. As fit as a rake, mate. You better get in the gym, eat some steak or something, mate.
Stop to happen. It's far too gone.
Yeah, but yeah, it was good. And Verts, you know, in that position there, you know, whether and they looked better than they had for a while, even though it was against the poor West Ham side.
Yeah.
So Gomez came in, and I thought he was decent as well.
I thought he was decent. Yeah, solid.
Yeah, he was.
That's what they needed to do. Look, there's been a lot of changes with
Salah being dropped, Mike. Do you know what I mean? As well, Salah dropped.
Yeah, and I think that I personally think I was talking to Garth about this a few times. I think that Liverpool fans overrated Bradley. And in general, a lot of the football community do it. As soon as a new young player comes through, has a few good games, it's this and that, and they won't miss Trent. And it's like, are you serious? Like, we're talking about a player in Trent who, okay, he wasn't the best defender, but again, I think that people over exaggerate how bad he was as a defender. But he kind of revolutionised that right back position in the way that he played, where he was so good on the ball. He was like a David Beckham with his passing, and I think people forget that. And like, he was picking 40-yard diags to Diaz and putting the ball over the top into space for Salah when they're sitting on like 10 yards past the halfway line. I'm thinking, like, you can't just think he misses. I think Salah
misses Trent, mate. I think Salah misses Trent.
He does.
Part of his game.
Massively. And I think Liverpool missed Diaz, and he's pressing, and he's in that South American like grit and aggression and desire to win the ball and lost causes. Like, you can't like they had Mane, such a good winger. They got Diaz in there again, tenacity, aggression, pace, power, goals. And I like Gakpo, but he's not those two. He's not those two, and you've not replaced them. And again, people that want to say that, but Diaz wanted to leave. Diaz wanted to leave because he was on 55 grand a week. He was on 55 grand a week, and Conor Bradley was getting more because he got a contract extension after Diaz had been bought. So Liverpool rested on their laurels, thinking that, sweet, we'll keep Diaz there on his contract. Yeah. And he's looking elsewhere because he wants more money. Well, and you look at the contrast on what Arsenal did with Trossard. Arsenal gave Trossard a pay rise because he deserved the pay rise. People didn't know what was going on. And look at the output that you've got from Trossard. Liverpool didn't give Diaz a pay rise because he probably had 2 more years in his contract that they can get away with paying him 55 grand a week. But he'd earned that money to be earning 150 grand a week. And now Liverpool have lost a player, and now they're going to have to pay someone probably double or 3 times, 4 times what Diaz was on just to get a replacement in there. Like, it's very short-term thinking that was. And losing a player like Diaz is a big miss, especially in the same season you lose someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold. Liverpool have got Sunderland at home next. Sunderland, I really do like Sunderland. I've got a lot of time for them. Leeds away from home. One of those classic games, and hopefully it brings back a classic result. And then they've got Inter away from home, followed by Brighton on the Saturday afternoon. So they've got some winnable fixtures coming up. So it'd be interesting to see how they come out after those next 4 fixtures. I'm sure Arne Slot's breathing a sigh of relief just to get a clean sheet and his name not being spoken about getting sacked for the first time in 2 months. But yeah, I like Steve. I need to see a couple more games to make that decision to see whether Liverpool have got over this hump, because West Ham I think they caught West Ham at a good time, if I'm honest. And it's similar to Crystal Palace, Man United. Like Man United got a good result, but they're catching Crystal Palace at a good time. After Europe, they've got no squad. They're tired. This is when you want to play these teams, because towards the end of the season, I think West Ham will get it back. It's Nuno. It's going to take time for him to get his team together. Probably going to get some money in January. You don't want to be playing that West Ham team away from home come the new year. And it's similar to Crystal Palace. I'm sure after Oliver Glasner's words last night, Steve Parish's ears would have pricked up because he's one manager that they're not going to want to lose. And they hold him in high regard. So it'd be interesting to see what they do in January, even though he said himself that it's too late. But it will be interesting to see what moves they make in January.
Yeah, that was probably the best game out of the week. I mean, I watched all 3 of the games the weekend, and if I take my Arsenal hat off, I probably like for the neutral. I thought that with Crystal Palace, Man United one was the one I probably football-wise enjoyed the most. And
good game.
Relaxed, put me foot. I enjoyed it. I thought. Look, okay. I think they did catch Crystal Palace. They caught it at a good time. They're going for a bit of a spell. I worried for Palace when Sarr got injured. As soon as he got injured, I was like, because I like Sarr.
Yeah.
And him coming off, I thought that's going to take a lot away from her attack there, because he works well with Mateta.
Yeah, very well.
But I've got to give me. I mean, they went 1 up, but Man United stuck to their guns and they played some good stuff at times. It was sloppy. Do you know what I mean? The old sort of mistakes were there. You could see there's still loads of work to do, but they're improving. They look better.
They need 2 more windows. And when I say 2 more windows, I don't necessarily mean the January window. Because the January window is a difficult one to navigate, whether you're going to get in the solid player that you want, or you're getting in a player that is like you're compromising with. The summer windows, the big ones, when you get the players you actually want. And Ruben Amorim needs specialist players. He needs a wing backs. He don't need to be playing players that are slotting in position.
Playing Ahmed's theirs, and it's criminal, mate. Playing Ahmed in that wing back position. But then again, if you don't play there, where does he play?
Yeah,
he doesn't, for me. But again, if you got I think you need your main striker, your main guy down the middle, wherever that may be. And then you've got Cunha on one side and Bombo playing, both of them are pretty done all right since they come in. There's still a lot more to sort of you'd want from them, but they've done okay.
Yeah.
So Ahmed's not a wing back, and maybe they probably need wing backs for me on both sides, probably. I know they got Martin.
Yeah, no, I agree. They do.
But he's not for me. He's not. They said he came on and the guy said, "Oh, this is good for the Man United because it'd be really good for the system that they play." And I was like, sort of my eyes open, and I went, "Not for me, mate. It won't." Because he ain't someone who gets down the wings and gets crosses in and all this. He's someone who who's a centre back who likes to sort of go into the midfield a lot. Do you know what I mean? He's not a go down the line type of player. And if you're playing that formation, you need people in that space, getting in them spaces down on the left there.
I'm surprised they didn't look at someone like a Zinchenko for a loan just to see how he does on that left.
Yeah, I mean, whether Arsenal would have sold him to Man
United. True.
But and also there's the Man City thing as well with Zinchenko. So
yeah.
So I probably would have. He probably would have tried to swerve that one, but but they're all right. They're looking good. I think we all agreed on the show. I think we all said, me, you, and Garth, that we felt that the sort of the way the progress should go or his project is that you've said about the windows there, and I think you're right. I totally agree with you. Is give him this year. Hopefully they finish around somewhere between you know, 8th, 7th, 6th, around that area.
Yeah, they're getting to Europe. Getting to Europe again.
4th place could be open, so who knows if something happens, you know.
And depending on the Champions League, how well the English team's doing the Champions League, that 5th spot, the Champions League spot.
Yeah, and then go again, then go again. But yeah, progress, improvement, and I think if I'm a Man United fan, I'd be sort of happy so far with considering what I had to put up with last season.
Yeah, so would I. Quickly on Tottenham before we go. Thomas Frank, not a good weekend for Tottenham and Thomas Frank, and he calling out the fans for booing Vicario.
That was.
If I'm honest, Tottenham can blame the manager all they want. Yeah, I look at Tottenham's team and I think that team is distinctly average. I think it's so overrated. I think they spent a couple of seasons out of the Champions League. With that, they brought in players who were not of the Champions League quality. They've then managed to get the most out of them as they can. Like, they've got players in their team like Lucas Bergvall, William Odobay, even Mohamed Kudus. And these are Europa League level players, mate. They're not Champions League. And you're going up against teams that are in the Champions League, progressing to get in the Champions League, and they're buying in players that have played in at that level. Like, when all the talk about Kudus, yeah, and I saw him in the first season at West Ham and thought, okay, maybe Arsenal missed out on a trick here.
Yeah,
it weren't long until I thought to myself, there's a reason why no one really touched him. And then by the end of it, West Ham fans wanted him out. Now that says a lot to me. When West Ham have got a player of his talent, yeah, and the fans are sick and tired of him, you should take note of that. You should ask yourself why West Ham fans don't want someone of his talent in that team anymore. And I think you're seeing that with Tottenham now.
He's got an attitude problem.
It's his attitude, mate. And his output's not that great. His output's really not. Yes, he gets down the wing. Yes, he may cause people a bit of trouble. But his output is not that great. It's not that impressive. And he's your main man. William Odobay, I'm not picking on him. He looks like a decent enough talent. In a few years' time, he might be there. He's a squad player. Like, you 70 million on Solanke, and you're pining for getting Solanke back. 70 million on Solanke. And you do this when you've got a team that have ambitions to be in the Champions League and don't get there, and their fans want to spend. And you buy players like Dominic Solanke for 70 million and expecting to put an output that's gonna blow teams away. He's gonna reach higher than fourth spot, if that. I look at that team and go back to the centre backs. All this talk about Van der Ven and Romero being as good as William Saliba and Gabriel. Go and look in the mirror and slap yourself, mate, because that is an embarrassment. They are good defenders, but they are not at that level. They are not, because if they were, Tottenham wouldn't be leaking in 2 goals a game on average. Tottenham wouldn't be making these silly mistakes, because they would have the pride in their performance to not make those mistakes, to not lose concentration, to not let the crowd get on top of them. We're talking about a World Cup winner in Romero, but people right there unhappy that fans are booing them. You're playing crap. Yeah. Like, pull your big boy pants up and suck it up and get it, move on. And on Tottenham fans, yeah, you were winning your first 5 games and you were making noise that you're unhappy with your manager. Reap what you sow. Yeah? Be careful what you wish for, because you was here before. Jose Mourinho. Yeah? Oh, watch out. We've got a serial winner. Serial winner. What happened there? You sacked him 3 days before a cup final because you don't want to win. Conte got you in the Champions League. What did you do after that? Absolutely nothing. Pochettino got you to a Champions League final, got you to consistently top 4 every season, and made you into a team that was if Tottenham carry on in the right trajectory, they could push for a league. They could be a serious problem. Yeah? What did you do? You bought into that nonsense. He's taken us as far as he can take us. What? Who are you?
Done that since Pochettino, mate. They should never have got rid of Pochettino.
Never.
You know, if they would have kept Pochettino, they they probably would have been the decent side. Now they might have maybe got a second or third.
Pochettino should have taken cups more seriously. That was his downfall, because I think if he did, he wins a cup. But he was pushing for the league. He was pushing for a Champions. He got you to a Champions League final.
When he left, a lot of the Tottenham players left as well.
And if it wasn't physically, it was mentally. Yeah. Then after that, you had Nuno did exactly the same thing as what Thomas Frank is doing now. Started off well. You was playing defensive. You didn't like it. You was upset with the football. The moment you had a bad result, gone. And you're doing the same to Frank. What are you going to do? You're going to go out there. You're going to go and get some maverick manager who leaves the team open, brings in some players that he likes. 2 out of 10 of them will look good, and you're back in the same position.
Yeah.
Seriously, you keep looking at Thomas Frank or the managers as the issue when it's the same common denominator. The club ain't changing. They ain't changing their mentality. Then the team's not going to change. Like, it's crazy. Conte screamed it out at you. Jose Mourinho told you. These are Premier League winners. They told you, but you don't want to listen.
You're something built in the DNA, don't you think? There's something to beat in the DNA of a club.
It's for the fans. It's from the people in the background when the players come in and how they will talk. It's fans cheering against their own team, conceding the goal to make sure other teams don't win.
Because they wanted Poch out as well, Tottenham fans. So all this while they want him back now. They're screaming and screaming. They want him back, right? But you wanted him out.
Yeah.
You wanted him out in the first place, right? But this is the problem. You talk about a DNA in the club and the mentality of a club, right? It's embedded in you. And Spurs are one of this. Man United were also one of this. Chelsea were one of this, right? And this is something else that we were talking about earlier, of killing the game. Just sacking manager after manager and after manager after manager. Yeah. Now, I've got this little bee in my bonnet at the minute where I'm like, this has got to stop now. You can't keep coming out and blaming the managers. Slot's another one. Do you know what I mean? First thing they do, they lose a few games, they lose it. Let's blame Slot.
Just won a Premier League title.
Slot. What about your players are shit? Excuse my French, right?
Yeah.
What about your players' mentality? What about your players' attitude? What about you? Yes, it's easy to, the manager always take the blame, but let's get it right here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Managers don't change that much. Most of the managers that have been sacked, are good managers, and they've done well at clubs and they're top managers, and then they go to a Man United, a Chelsea, or a thingy in the past, and they end up like getting sacked after a few months because they just can't make it work.
Yeah, but maybe
it's not the manager. Maybe it's the same players, because it's a cycle. It's always the same. The players the same. The DNA behind the club. It's your thinking. It's just you fans. If you had a situation where you had like an Arsenal situation, let's bring it up. Right, we're getting Arteta. We're not going to sack him. We're just going to progress. We'll keep going. We'll lose a few. We won't win anything, but we'll keep building and building. Eventually, you'll get stability in a club. Yeah. Everything will improve. Everything will be happy, and your DNA will change. But clubs like this, maybe Man United will know that, but we have to talk about them because in the past they've sacked managers left, right, and centre, the same as Chelsea and Tottenham. This has got to stop. This has got to stop.
Fair play to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, because he sent that message. He's here for 3 years. Now, if any player in that team would have thought to themselves, "Oh, mate, he's out. He's out. We're gonna. If we carry like, I don't want him here." They've got to change to, okay, then I'm out, because he's here for the next 3 years.
He said, Keys, isn't he? Jim Ratcliffe with the Liverpool Man United fans, like they literally said, he's come out, and it's a great point you've made. He's come out and he said he's staying for 3 years.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or lump it. So basically, 100%. It's a great point, mate, you've just made. It's like he ain't going. So you lot better buck your ideas up. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll be off. Yeah. You'll be the one there, not him.
And the journalist tried to call it out and said, this is what I liked about what Ratcliffe said as well. The journalist tried to come out and said, well, what if Man United have another season like they did and come 15th? He said, that won't happen, because I believe in my manager. And little things like that. Again, the players that are listening to that, they know now that this manager ain't going anywhere because the chairman rates him. I need to either get on board with this or move out. So, and that's what you'll have. That's what you'll have. So, I think maybe do Liverpool need to come out and give it the dreaded vote of confidence? I don't think they do. I honestly think that Arne Slot has enough credit in the bank
100%
to have a shit season and still be the manager. Liverpool have only won 2 Premier League titles in 30 years. And Arne Slot is one of the ones that brought that home. Yeah. We can talk all day long about the Jurgen Klopp. It was Jurgen Klopp's team, blah, blah. But Jurgen Klopp didn't get it over the line. He didn't get it over the line for whatever reason. He did not do it. The same way as Emery didn't get it over the line for Arsenal. He didn't get Arsenal over the line in the Europa League final. He didn't, and he's a cup specialist. Arteta, the following the following season, won an FA Cup with Arsenal. It could be because you can say that about it was Emery's team, but then you can also say, well, no, it wasn't. It was Arsene Wenger's team, and the best football you saw under Emery was off the back of what you saw from Wenger. And what Emery done was came in and added his little spice to it to shore things up a little bit at the back, but the playing forward was still an Arsene Wenger style. So we can do this all day long. But those players, those managers have managed to get that team over the line, and that's what's important.
But with Liverpool, they're calling Slot out. 80% of them are calling Slot out. 90% of them are calling Slot out. A lot of them are, right? There's a few in our circle who aren't, and we know who they are, right? But have a go, call out Salah. Call out him. Where he's been.
Salah dropped. We win a game.
Call out Van Dijk. Call out Kanate.
Van Dijk needs to be called out.
Right,
Kanate's been called out quite a lot, but Van Dijk needs to be called out.
World-class players who apparently have got the mentality and the attitude to win leagues.
Yeah.
So how can they drop off that quick?
Yeah.
Use it. The manager ain't changed that much. They say, the manager's changed system, right? You've got world-class players throughout your team. You should be able to adapt to anything. Do you know what I mean? You can't just because Slot says right, we're going to change the system a bit. Well, all of a sudden Van Dijk who's world class, Salah who's world class, and McAllister who's said to be world class, Gravenberch. What? They can't adapt to a new system. What does that say about your world class players? The mentality is the attitude.
Yeah, it is. Huh? Yeah, it is. I agree. It is the mentality. And look, we can't dismiss the fact that some of these players are a year older as well. Van Dijk, Salah, Robertson, Alisson, and look, Alisson sneezes now and he's out for an injury. Like that's what happens, mate. We wake up in the morning. Oh, my ankle works. What did you do? I don't actually know. I slept wrong. Like they're at that age. They are at that age, and look, Liverpool needs to start moving on. I said they weren't in a transition because it was about strengthening this year. Next year will be the real transition when you do get rid of the likes of Alisson, you do get rid of the likes of Salah, and you've got to start thinking about moving on Van Dijk and Robertson as well. So we'll soon see what the transition is there. It's going to be a big season for Liverpool next season as well. I don't think they're going to be in and about it then either. So I think Liverpool fans need to buckle up and be patient because I don't think it's going to be any time soon that you're going to be back into this championship title race when you're losing big players next season like Alisson, Salah, and Robertson, and even potentially Van Dijk. If I'm honest,
and they will go. They will go. And we like during the transfer window, which I'm sure next week we'll start getting into. I've said it many times. Like during the summer, there was a lot of people at Liverpool who didn't want that or didn't want to sign that contract.
Both of them, both the contracts.
I said it, and it's come out since then, and I've been proven right. They didn't want to do it, and I know there was the thing was that it's Salah, he's got to sign, but Liverpool were like, yeah, but his age, he wants a pay rise. He wants another 2. He wants like 3 years. And he was like, we can't do that to like Van Dijk. And do you know what I mean? He's going to put us in the shitter. But in the end, because of the fans says he's got to sign his most salaries Van Dijk, they've done it. And now, I don't know. 2 of them seem to have gone backwards. It seemed like they know at the end of the season they're going. And we'll see. I might be wrong. Do you know what I mean?
We will see. We will see. I think you got to sell Salah. I think with Salah's contract running out at the end of last season, signing him up on a 2-year deal was for a view to sell him so they can get some money. Yeah, it's to get some money.
Van Dijk, 2 years.
Van Dijk, I said at the time, Van Dijk, I would question even whether I signed him, and then would potentially look to move on and get a replacement for Van Dijk, because
they wanted Guy, didn't they? They wanted Guy.
Yeah, I don't see the longevity in signing Van Dijk, and there's no sell on for him. So you're buying him just to keep that spot. Whereas Salah, he's going Saudi. Last season you get 100 million for him. This season, off a poor season, you get 50. If he scores 20 goals this season, you might get 70. And 70 for Salah is good, really good money. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, that is all we have time for. Thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Hennessy, getting in the comments there. Appreciate your words. Press that like, subscribe button if you are new. Lynch, come on, you Gunners. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate that. Again, I'm sure you subscribed already. If you are watching on Twitter, make sure you press that share button and that like button, and obviously follow the show. Why wouldn't you? Come and follow me on TikTok on Kieran AFC and the Transfer Exchange Show. Go and follow Steve K on Twitter as well. This is the time to be following Steve. He's got the transfer news coming. Make sure you join us every Monday as we're going to start getting into the transfer, especially around the second week of December. You're definitely going to start hearing murmurs of who's going where, contract extensions, players coming in, coming out, managers potentially losing their jobs. This is definitely the place to be. Make sure you hit that subscribe and that notification button so you are aware when we are going live as well. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Pleasure. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right. Peace out, people. Stay safe. Oh, I've done it again. And wash your hands.